So I started the recording and I think it's 6:30. I'm going to get started. We are going, so Ms. Bussey is going to be monitoring the chat, but we will also, I will probably be answering a lot of questions during the presentation. If you still have questions at the end, we are going to open up the chat and you can put them in there. Otherwise, you are always welcome to email me. That's going to be the quickest way to get in touch with me. Know that registration, this is kind of our opening night, but the window is going to be open until March 4th. So you will have a lot of time to talk to your student, a lot of time to think about classes, and a lot of time to make decisions. So just know that as I'm going through information. So welcome, and here's kind of what we're going to be talking about. I'm going to talk about GPA and graduation requirements. I'm going to be talking about enrichment opportunities, choosing classes, and then I'm going to go over some advice and how to actually register in PowerSchool. So the first thing I'm going to talk about is GPA and graduation requirements. You can see your students' GPA in PowerSchool. When I'm in the classrooms, I'm going to be in the English classes on the 18th, 22nd, and 23rd of February. And I'm going to be handing out transcripts. But if you want to see your students' GPA before then, it's in PowerSchool. You can go under grades and attendance, and it will show up the cumulative GPA. This is a breakdown of GPA, of what the GPA means. Keep in mind that the pass no credits don't impact GPA. So for everyone, and I've actually had a couple students emailing me about this, but if you remember, second semester of 9th grade year for everyone was pass no credit. So we didn't issue any letter grades second semester of 9th grade, and that information will be in our excuse me, will be in our the information that we send colleges, so they know that students didn't get a choice that semester. From there, it's been a choice where students can take a grade or take a pass no credit. In terms of GPA, I always tell students, we're still in a pandemic. It's not business as usual yet. So colleges know that. They're experiencing similar things. They're seeing patterns. They're seeing impacts on their students. So they're going to be looking at transcripts a little bit differently than years past. I actually had the class of 2020, so I had the kind of the starting of it. And so now having a full grade go through years of being impacted is going to be a different experience. But one of the things colleges will look at is the trajectory of your grades. I also encourage people to think about how they're taking care of themselves. So a lot of conversations I have with students are kind of centering around, you know, if things were quote unquote normal, they may be different, but they're not. So we make different choices. We look at things differently. Couple of, you know, things that I encourage students to think about are what kind of skills they're learning. So a lot of resilience, a lot of independence, a lot of advocacy. They've had to pivot, make a lot of different choices, find their strengths, ups and downs. And one thing I always like to let them know too is that there are 4,500 colleges out there. So if they're worried about college, it will be okay. We will find the right fit. So GPA, sometimes students will ask me, what will my GPA be if I get all A's next semester, if I get all A's and a B next semester? There's a lot of great websites out there where you can calculate GPA. So if your student is ever curious about that, there's a lot of different ones. Sometimes they're not exactly perfect at calculating, but they are good to get kind of a marker of where you're at. This is just an example of one of the GPA calculators that's online. You enter the class, the grade, and the credit, and it calculates what your GPA is. Well, okay, graduation requirements. So this is something we go through every year during registration. This is the general overview, and then I'm going to go more specific into credits specifically for senior year. So we require 8 credits of English and social studies to graduate. So that's taking it all 4 years. We require 6 credits of math and science. This is another question we get a lot. Should I take math and science my senior year? I think my general answer is yes, but it really depends on the student and their plans, mental health, their course load, what else they have going on in their lives. So if you feel like you're having a hard time making that decision, that's a conversation I'm always happy to have. Students need 1 credit of PE, 1 credit of health. So this is the first class where everyone should have taken health in 10th grade. There were a limited number of students who couldn't fit it in, and they are probably taking it in an online version. If your student did not take health, please get in touch with me. But most had it last year. Art is 2 credits. We have a variety of options for art classes. Advisory is what's called Park Connections now. That happens 3 days a week, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and it's 1/4 of a credit over 4 years. And then electives are essentially any other class that doesn't fit into one of those categories. So if your student took like an extra math class, that would fall into electives. If your student needs credit recovery, sometimes students, either they don't pass a class, or we have students who transfer in who had different classes at their old school. Maybe they couldn't fit something in. We have a couple different credit recovery options. You can retake classes in summer school. You can register again for the class. And one of our most popular options is students really like to do our credit recovery program, Edmentum. It used to be known as Play-Doh, so you may have heard that. Those courses are online. And again, if your student is wanting to register for that, you would just get in touch with me, or they would get in touch with me, and we would do that. Graduation requirements. I know this is really small and I'm not expecting you to read it, but if you want to follow that QR code to get to the link, most and actually all of the information I'm talking about today is going to be on our website. We are updating it a lot right now, and it's going to have all the registration information sheets. So most of the things I'm talking about today are going to be on the website. Either they're on there now, or they're going to be there in the near future. So this is a graduation credit check. And again, this sheet is available on the website. So just to kind of break it down, English, again, you need 4 years. So it's English 9 or honors English, English 10 or honors English. And then typically for junior and senior years, students are either in IB English SL, IB English HL, or they're taking English 11 and then senior year English 12 and an elective. If your student, and I'll talk about PSEO in a little bit, but PSEO, if your student is taking classes at the college, it could be college writing, it could be literature. There's a couple different options there. Social studies, you're going to need 8 semester credits. If your student was with us in 9th grade, it would have been civics/econ or honors. In 10th grade, it would be world history, AP World, or AP Euro. This year, it's US history, AP US history, or IB history. And then next year, there's a lot of different options for social studies. And again, I will go through those in more detail, but there's AP Psych, IB Psych, AP Econ, IB history, world religions, sociology, revisiting ethnicity and culture, and US history. So there's social studies definitely has the most options available for seniors to pick. And I have another slide where I go a little more in depth with that. Math and science, we require 6 semester credits. And for math, you have to go through advanced algebra. So some students took advanced algebra in 9th grade, some students took geometry, then they took advanced algebra in 10th grade. Some juniors are in advanced algebra right now. Math was one of the subjects that was hit pretty hard with the pandemic and online learning. So math, we've kind of had to adjust some of the pathways students have taken. For example, a lot of students who were in pre-calc have decided to take advanced algebra again this year because taking it online, they realized they didn't necessarily get all of the information. And then many students go on to take AP Calc, AP Stats, Pre-Calculus. So there's a lot of different levels for math. For science, again, you're going to do 6 credits. So in 9th grade, your student probably took Science 9. Last year, they took chemistry or IB chemistry. And then this year, most juniors are in biology or IB bio. Science is not a requirement for senior year, but we do encourage students to take physics, and physics is kind of the senior level science class. Elective, or these are continuing requirements: 1 credit of PE generally taken in 9th grade, 1 credit of health. Art is 2 credits. And I realize that you can't get to the link, but there is a list of classes that satisfy our art requirements on the website. So that's what that link gets you to. If you go to the registration information on our website, you can get there, or I can email it to you if you want it. And then, and then advisory, like I said, is Park Connections, and that happens over the 4 years. And then electives. So electives are anything that doesn't fit into one of the other boxes. For many students, that might be a foreign language. It might be extra math, extra science, music, extra art. So each 1 semester class gets its own box. So a lot of our electives are 1 semester, although some of our electives are full year classes. So the magic number for graduation is 46. At a minimum right now, 11th graders should have 27 credits. That being said, many juniors will have more than that right now, especially if they haven't taken a study hall, or they've only taken 1, or they've taken 2, and they've been passing all their classes. If students never take a study hall during their high school career, they can earn up to 57 credits, and you need 46 to graduate. So knowing how many credits they have right now, which is in the cumulative information, you can add what they're taking right now. So for most students, it's 5, 6, or 7. And then entering 12th grade, a good scenario is coming in with 36 credits. Again, many students have more than that, which is great. 36 credits will allow students to take a minimum of 5 credits each semester. So 10 for the year. And many seniors, again, during schedule changes, they have the conversation of, oh, well, I want open hours my senior year. So many students are really looking forward to taking 10 classes. They're always more than welcome to take more. It just depends on what they have going on outside of school and what they're wanting to take now. So now we're going to talk about enrichment. Our enrichment coordinator, Dr. Alyssa Case, and our college and career coordinator, Kara Mueller, work together to create a presentation about all of our enrichment opportunities. So that presentation is going to be available on our website in the next couple days. The information about our enrichment opportunities is also available right now on our registration website. So they are also going to be holding question and answer sessions. These dates, February 16th, 17th, 22nd, and 23rd during 5th hour. So the enrichment opportunities are PSEO, AP, IB, CTE, and concurrent enrollment. Now, since you have upcoming seniors, a lot of your students have already been exposed to a lot of these opportunities, taking AP, taking IB, taking some of our concurrent enrollment classes. So I am going to touch a little more on PSEO, but I'll briefly go over the other options. So again, this is kind of what the website looks like. And then if you click on the triangles, it'll bring you to more detailed information, along with what classes fit into what category. So many of you are probably familiar with advanced placement, where you take the year-long class, and then in May, you take the test and you can get college credit. Many are probably familiar with the IB program as well. IB classes are typically 2 years, and then you take the test at the end of the second year of the course. Articulated college credits and concurrent enrollment credits are things that happen at our school, but they also allow students to get college credit. So they're classes that happen during our 7-period day, but they're classes that we work with colleges to provide students both high school and the opportunity for college credit. And then the work-based learning is something that we continue to expand on. We've got some programs where students can do apprenticeships and internships. So there's some work-based learning where students who have jobs can get credit for that. So if that seems like something your student might be interested in, I would definitely look more closely at those requirements and the programs that we have available. I know one example is some students attended a meeting on Genesis Works, which is an internship program. And then the last thing I'm going to talk about is PSEO. So PSEO is post-secondary enrollment options, and PSEO is where students physically attend class or virtually at the college. So our kind of most popular institutions are Normandale Community College in Bloomington, MCTC, which is in Minneapolis. And we do have a couple of students that go to the University of Minnesota as well. However, there are many more institutions in our area that participate. Those are just the ones that our students tend to gravitate towards. So when students are interested in PSEO, we still ask that they register for a full load of courses at the high school. This year, we will be asking them to put their interest in PSEO as part of their registration, but they will still register for all of their classes at the high school. The reason we do that is because we don't exactly know what they're going to take at that time, so we'd rather have them kind of reserve spaces in our classes and drop them later once they figure out exactly what they want to do. So these information sessions are generally about an hour long. They go through a lot of different information, including part-time PSEO, full-time PSEO, what are the admissions procedures, what kind of classes can you take? So those are really, really useful. We also will record one and have it on the website. And each meeting is going to be a class period, 50 minutes. So generally speaking, students who do PSEO must be in good academic standing. For MCTC and Normandale, and it kind of varies, they kind of change their admissions here and there, but generally speaking, they want for seniors about a 2.5 GPA or higher. Although every college will have their exact criteria on the website. The U of M I found last year they had very, they did not accept as many students. Like, so I think they had more applications and just had less room for PSEO students. So we only had, we probably had about 10 to 15 students who did PSEO at the U of M, where way more of our students did it at Normandale and MCTC. The U of M average GPA is a 3.9, although I would say last year it was maybe closer to a 4.0, because they have about 500 spots each year. The U of M is also a little more limited in terms of what classes they allow PSEO students to take, because they need to prioritize their 4-year programming current students. Normandale and MCTC, as long as you qualify, you can pretty much sign up for any class. So the main difference with PSEO is they're on like what I call a block schedule. So a 1 semester class at PSEO, let's say a student decides they want to take their English at Normandale. They would likely take college writing, which is kind of the general level college class that is pretty much every college will require freshmen to take. So that would be a 4-credit typically class at PSEO, which would equal a full year of credits at our school. So at our school, our required classes are year-long. At PSEO, a full-time student may choose to have their English and math first semester and social studies and science second semester. The thing students most often tell me about PSEO is it is less time in class. So it's a lot more independent work. And some students really like that, especially if they have jobs or, they're busy. So some students really like kind of the freedom of having more time to themselves. Many colleges went completely online. Now they're starting to kind of go half and half. So when students sign up for PSEO, they can pick completely online, asynchronous. There's some synchronous options. There's a lot of blended hybrid. I haven't seen a ton of all in person. Most have steered away from that. They do a lot of blended, but there's a lot of really great options. And in PSEO, students are starting their college transcripts. So they're earning college and high school credit at the same time, which is another reason why they really like it. So the third part, we're going to go over choosing classes. So again, we want you to register for at least 10 classes. You can register for up to 14. And this is also on the sheet. If you're thinking about PSEO, Genesis Works, or any of our other opportunities, you're still going to register for at least 10 classes. So English tends to be pretty straightforward for seniors. If your student was in IB English SL, that is typically a 2-year class. So is IB English HL. If they're in English 11, then the senior year class is English 12, which is a 1-semester class, and then an English elective. A lot of times when seniors get, or when juniors get to their senior year, they may have already taken their English elective. So a lot of people have taken cinema, and that counts as an English elective. So they maybe only need the 1-semester English 12 for their senior year. There are some situations where a student is in English 11 and they want to take an IB class their senior year for English. And if that's the situation your student is in, I would encourage them to talk to me, because we can talk to the teachers and see if we can transition them to that. So social studies has a lot of different options. A pretty popular senior year class is AP Psych. Generally, we have quite a few sections of AP Psych, and that's a year-long class. IB Psych as well is an option. AP Macro and Microeconomics. So one semester is macroeconomics, one semester is microeconomics, is also an option. And then for students who are in IB History HL right now, they can continue and do that senior year. There also are 4 different options. If you don't choose one of the year-long classes, you choose 2 of the 4, either world religions, sociology, intro to criminal justice, and revisiting ethnicity and culture in US history. A lot of students take more than one social studies class because they find them fun. So they're also welcome to register for more than one social studies. All right, and then, so this is just what I went over, the different options. They're choosing 2, and again, some students have already taken criminal justice or revisiting ethnicity and culture in US history. Sociology and world religions are strictly for seniors, so no junior has taken those yet. And then below are the year-long options. Math is going to be sequential, so it's going to be based on the math class they're in this year. So if they're in pre-calculus, then next year they can choose to take AP Calculus or AP Stats. We also have a class called Statway Statistics. Statway Statistics is one of our concurrent enrollment classes. So that class is taught in coordination with Normandale Community College, and you actually get high school and college level credits at the same time taking Statway. So that's one that many students are interested in for next year. Some students will be in advanced algebra, some will be in pre-calculus. So it's really based on whatever math they're in this year. Probably the best source of information for what math might be good for next year would be their current math teacher. And these are just a couple different options for pathways for math. And again, different pathways. Math has a lot of different pathways because sometimes I hear students say that math is grade level, but I always tell them that all math classes are all grades. It's really just based on what math you had the previous year. Science, so most will be through biology and chemistry. So they would pick either physics or IB physics. We have engineering listed under science as well. It's a science elective. Some have been in engineering and they will take engineering 3 senior year. Otherwise, if they're interested in engineering and have never taken it, they can take engineering 1 as a senior. So science, again, you'd have 1 full year of biology, 1 full year of science 9, and then for graduation, the requirement is 1 year of either chemistry or physics. So electives, this sheet that I know is very small and you can't read is also available on our website. This is the sheet we hand out during registration to help students plan what they want to take. So they can physically check the boxes off and then they know what to enter into Power School. This sheet is also available online on our website. It's on there right now. It's under, I believe, Registration Planner. And then we also have a really amazing course book that we've been working hard on, and the course catalog has a ton of information in it. And it's really pretty to look at, and they did a really good job. So I would encourage you to look at that, like even registering your senior, it's probably a lot of information you haven't seen before, or maybe you haven't seen it all in the same place. So that is on our high school website, and there's credit checks, there's pathways, there's all the classes listed with descriptions. So again, I would encourage your senior to look at it, especially because this is their senior year, so they get free classes, they don't have to pay, and it might be a good time for them to try something that they've never done before. So electives, how many do they need? It's going to vary per student. I tend to think it's always better to register for more credits than less, and if they're unsure of what they want to take. So if your student is picking 14 classes, that's going to equal no study halls. 13 would be 1 study hall for the year. 12 would be 2 study halls, and then 10 would be 4 study halls. One thing to think about is Power School schedules, and it doesn't always know what to schedule semester 1 and semester 2. So if your student registers for 10 classes, there's a possibility that they could get 6 one semester and 4 the other. So they're going to want to review their schedule in August. And if they wanted to do 5 classes and 5 classes, they're going to want to send me an email to make sure that that happens. Because a lot of the 1 semester electives, we don't always know which semester they're going to be offered, what's going to fit into their schedule. So just something to keep an eye on, especially because I know a lot of seniors will tend to pick classes based also on time of day, because sometimes they want to get out of school and take 5 classes and be done, or take 6 classes and have a 7th hour off. So it's really important that they look at their actual schedule in August when it opens up, and just review it and make sure that things are lining up and we can make adjustments as needed. But we really want students to register as accurately as they can, so that we can plan ahead, because we do use that information for staffing and deciding which classes to offer. Student aids,
Kelsey,
oh yeah.
there was actually a question about what do colleges think about seniors not taking a full schedule their senior year if they've taken a full schedule all their other years?
I would say, I don't think most colleges look at a transcript and count every single class. I think they look more at the transcript holistically. So if your student is wanting to do 5 classes senior year, I would just make sure the schedule is balanced enough where they're still feeling rigor. And I think colleges would be okay with that. I mean, I don't think they necessarily think, they don't necessarily look at how many classes, but they look more at like, are they in a variety of classes? Are they challenging themselves? So I guess I would rather a student keep the rigor and do less classes than the other way around. I mean, every college is going to be different, but we've always had a lot of seniors that take 5 classes. And to me, if you can take 5 classes and still feel challenged, and then kind of have other things in your life going on, I know a lot of people have jobs, all of those things also enrich college admissions and your resume. So those are important too. And actually, when Ms. Cosgrove talks about that, she calls those phantom classes, because they're not a class you're enrolled in, but they take a lot of time. So it could be family obligations, it could be jobs, it could be internships, it could be sports, it could be other extracurricular activities. So I don't hesitate that much when seniors want to take 5 classes, is my short answer. So that's a good question. And if you're concerned about it, feel free to email me and just say, this is what they're thinking about. What do you think about this? So student aids, we have a lot of juniors doing student aids. Now, one thing is seniors can do student aids. You can only get credit once, but the thing about a student aid is you can't register for it. And it's also not one of your 5 classes. So you have to take 5 classes each semester. and a student aid, or TA as we call it, does not count as one of your 5. So a TA is when you kind of work or help a teacher out. And then open hours. So this again is a question we get a lot. Open hours, you can't request. It's kind of luck of the draw. It just kind of so happens if your student gets a first and second hour, they could have a first and second open. The most popular are 1 and 7, but they can only happen in a row. So if your student happens to get a 4th hour study hall, that cannot be an open hour because that's in the middle of the day. So they're only in the beginning or end of the day. And it's luck of the draw, kind of how Power School schedules you. Okay, and then we are on to our final section, advice and how to register in Power School. So one of the things when we use the term college, that doesn't just mean a 4-year college. So we are talking about college. We're talking about any education after high school. Last year I went to a meeting through Dunwoody and I found it really interesting. They said that for every 1 4-year degree job, there are 8 technical 2-year degree jobs. They're having a really hard time filling their work, filling their jobs, and I think even more so now. So a lot of students are looking more into technical schools as an option. And then Dunwoody also said the average salary of a technical college job is $53,000. They also said that every day, I believe it's 10,000 baby boomers are retiring, which I found to be something I had no idea about. So that's just something to think about. We really, for us, it's all about finding what works for that particular person, and it looks different for everyone. And I think the pandemic has changed some of that too, because some people couldn't go right to college. Some people wanted to stay home and go to a community college. So I think, one of the things with college is just to really keep an open mind, in terms of looking at all options and deciding what's best for your particular student. And then what information do college admissions officers review? They look at grades and overall GPA. They look at like your high school course selection. So, they're not necessarily thinking that you have to take all AP or IB classes or all PSEO, but they're looking to see that you're challenging yourself without overwhelming. They look at test scores, although a lot of colleges are moving to test optional. Some colleges will have an essay, some will have teacher counselor recommendations. Some colleges will keep track of like students who've been interested. So we get colleges that come visit us. It's been more virtual recently, but they used to come and talk to students about their campus, and they can sometimes they'll track who's interested in them. They look at personal accomplishments, personality characteristics. We do typically send the courses in progress senior year. So even though they're not necessarily going to see grades right away, they are going to see what classes they're taking. And then a lot of them will ask for mid-year reports. Ms. Cosgrove is actually working on those right now. So a lot of colleges will request them. And then they'll look at activities and extracurriculars. Again, we have a college and career resource website that has college information. It's also, being the age of the internet, there's so many different search engines available online. Every year there are new ones popping up. I know a lot of students have a College Board account from taking AP classes. And there's a search engine there. There's other companies that offer them. So students tend to find what works for them in order to search colleges. And I remember even when I searched, it was a book that you would physically look through. Miss Bussey's nodding her head. Probably some of you are as well. For them, it's a little easier in that it's easier to search. But it's also really overwhelming because there's so many different search engines and so many different options. So colleges are saying junior and senior grades will be more important. I think a lot of that has to do with being hybrid last year, ninth grade being online. They want to see as much academic information as they can. We are still offering an option to take a pass. And I think, you know, it's okay to take passes here and there, but I would encourage students to take grades when they can. And then many colleges are moving to test optional. And I'm going to talk about that on my next slide. Some professors are seeing some gaps in knowledge. So it's really important, like I said, to keep into the core classes like math and science, especially through senior year. Again, with the pandemic and math, kind of having the online math, it's really important to keep going and keep reviewing that information.
As a math teacher too, I would say that once you stop math, it's hard to remember what you did a year later. So if you're going to have to take any math in college or in post-secondary, I would say stick with math, so just to keep your mind fresh and keep those skills fresh.
Agreed. Agreed. So college entrance exams is a question I get a lot too. So the two big ones are the ACT and the SAT. And the thing I always like to say about it is it's very regional. So it's kind of like Target versus Walmart. In Minnesota, more people go to Target. When I went to college in Indiana, more people went to Walmart. There were more available. It was closer. In Minnesota, there tends to be more Targets. They both essentially carry the same things. So they're just two different companies. The ACT and the SAT are two different companies. Colleges will accept either test. The vast majority of Minnesotans will submit an ACT score. Every year we get some students that take the SAT, but by far the ACT is most popular. Probably also because we offer it to all juniors free of charge. So we will be giving the ACT April 5th for most students. They will be signing up for it. I mean, we will help them through the registration process. You don't need to do anything. They will take it. One of the things a lot of people ask me too is, you know, do I need to retake the ACT? How important is the ACT? I think a lot of colleges moved to test optional during the pandemic. A lot of them have kept test optional. So typically what I'll tell students is you might as well take it, do your best. You can decide if you want to submit the score. If you take it and you feel like you did your best and you don't want to submit the score, that's okay. You can do that. If you take it and you want to try to take it again, that's okay too. So I think it really just depends on the person. If your student happens to be interested in specific colleges, you can also check their website to see what they say in terms of the test. A lot of the prep for college entrance exams is doing well in classes. So it's their classes that they're already in. We do have free practice tests available through our college and career website. And there's also practice tests available on the internet, but again, you want to be careful of websites, especially if they're asking to charge you. There is also, and a lot of people ask me this question too, there's a class offered through St. Louis Park Community Ed that does ACT prep. But I think it's totally up to you and your student in terms of how much preparation outside of school do they want to do. And there's a lot of free resources out there as well. The one through Community Ed does cost money and is an option as well. And then those are just the websites for ACT and SAT. The one April 5th is offered at our school. But if your student wants to take additional ACTs, they need to register through the ACT's website. And then academic sanity, I talk about a lot. It's not strictly about ability, because there are only 24 hours in a day, and it's also important for people to be balanced and to have different things going on in their lives. So it's about ability and balance when we choose classes. So I would say the most challenging classes without overwhelming. And that's also what colleges say. They want you to take the most challenging courses that you can be successful in. So just something that we say is pick classes that offer challenge, rigor, and interest, while also balancing your health, wellness, sleep, and me time. And that also seems overwhelming because it can be hard to make those decisions. So that is why we give a couple weeks for registration, so that students can think about it and talk to teachers and talk to you and make decisions. So they are actually going to be, this is just kind of an overview of how to register in PowerSchool. I believe it's going to open up in the next couple days. It will be under class registration. You click on the pencil. Now they're seniors, so you've probably already been through this. You click what you want, you press OK. And then at the end, you get something that looks like this. You can submit and edit later. So a lot of people are afraid to submit. Do not be afraid to submit, because you can always go back and change it. So that's just something where if you submit it, it's just going to save what you have. We are going to keep the window, the PowerSchool window, open until March 4th. So that's the latest we want things to be updated. We want people to have something entered before that, so that we know that you've looked at it and thought about it, but you will be able to edit it until March 4th. And you can even start yet tonight if you want, or not tonight, in the next couple of days, by entering a couple of classes. So I am going to be in English classes February 18th, 22nd, and 23rd. If your student doesn't have an English class at the high school, if they're PSEO, they'll be receiving different information about how to make that happen. And then we're going to have drop-in times available the week of February 28th. And then registration is due March 4th. And like I said, you can enter it, submit it, and edit it up until March 4th. So that's all I have. Thank you all so much for coming. If you want to get going,
Kelsey, we do have a couple questions in
oh,
the chat.
okay. I was going to say, we're going to open up the chat, but if you need to leave now, thank you for coming. I really appreciate it. We will be posting this video on the website, and this is my email. So never hesitate to email and ask questions that come up. All right, what are our questions, Miss Bussy? I can't see the, oh wait.
Okay, I get to be your co-host.
Thank you.
Briefly, will you give us the difference between AP and IB? And then possible internships and learning about possible internships.
Yep. So the main difference between AP and IB, they're both college level classes. And you can get college credit. Many schools actually only have one or the other. So we are actually a pretty special school that we have both. Some schools only have IB, some only have AP. So they both are similar. AP though is a 1-year class. So you take the class for 1 year, you take the test in May, and the test is what determines the college credit. But even if you don't take the test or you don't do well on the test, colleges can see that you took AP. So they see that you took a college level class. IB is similar, except IB is usually a 2-year class. And then after that second year is when you take the test. So typically the IB test will happen senior year. And they're a little bit different too, because they tend to have a couple different parts. Like students will work on, usually it's like an IA throughout the class. They might have an oral part of the test. So a lot happens during the 2 years, but they're both college credit. And again, colleges will look at, regardless of what the test score is, regardless of the college credit, colleges will look at that as rigor and they will see that it was an advanced class. I do see one question that I'm going to answer about macro and micro econ. So is macro and micro econ only available during semester 1 of the year, or is the form just stating that it's a 1 semester course? Good question. So macro and micro, and I always mix up the order, but one of them is taught first semester and one of them is taught second semester. So you can register for the full year, and most people do, but you could also choose just to take 1 semester. Most students, we have a section of it this year, and most students have decided to take the full year. So most students who took macro 1 semester will take micro the next. And it might be reversed because I always mix up the order. I don't see any, Miss Busty, do we have more questions?
You had just answered the micro versus macro, right?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I just got one. How many colleges give college credit for AP versus IB?
That tends to vary a lot by the college. So I would say that we'd have to look specifically at the college you're interested in. There isn't really a general answer I can give. I would say most generally colleges will give AP credit for like a 3, 4, or 5, sometimes a 4 or a 5 test score. The AP test is 1 through 5. IB, I don't have a statistics. Do you have one, Miss Bessie?
IB, it's kind of interesting the way that colleges give credit, and it's a lot based on like the test and how you do on the test. So the IB test is typically scored out of 7.
Mm-hmm.
So depending on what score you get, you could get like a 7 could actually give you on an English test, could give you English 101 and 102. I was an IB candidate and got credit for like 101 and 202. And it wasn't an English class that I necessarily needed, but I got an English credit for it. So it just ranges, and it really depends on the school and what you're coming into and what your degree is going to be for that school. So like if you were going to be a math major, they're more hesitant to give you math credits for your test because they want you to take the math credits from them. So there's a lot of pieces that go into it. It's not an exact science for sure.
Yeah, and I would say, I mean, the same, people ask me that too about PSEO, how colleges take those credits. I usually tell people that generally most public institutions will take PSEO credits. Private institutions really vary. So it really just depends on the college. A lot of colleges are willing to take all of them, but some colleges might say, you know, I'll only accept these PSEO credits. So every college is their own entity and they have their own rules. So really the best source of information is to go to the actual college's website because they really keep their websites updated with really good information. I have a question about looking for colleges and accommodations, like looking for colleges that help students who need accommodations. I would say, I know that Groves tends, or that there are some college fairs that will advertise certain colleges, but in general, pretty much all colleges will have an accommodations office, and they will have people whose job it is to help students who need accommodations. I've heard really wonderful things about colleges and their accommodations process. So I think pretty much every college will have an office or staff members who can help determine what level of support they can provide. But I think when you are looking for a college and your student receives accommodations, I don't think you're limited. I think you can look at any college and just make sure that you get in touch with their offices and make sure that it seems like a good fit for your student. Good questions. Do we have anything else that I can't see?
I just got one. Hold on. Do more institutions take PSEO credits if they're U of M versus Normandale?
It's a really good question and one I've gotten before. I would say, so Normandale, both Normandale and MCTC have partnerships with the U of M where they have a program called MinCap, where students, if they take 2 years of generals at Normandale or MCTC, or there's a few other community colleges in our area that participate, but if they take 2 years of credits there, get their generals done and get, I believe it's a 2.0 GPA, the U of M will automatically accept them. So I would say credits from Normandale, credits from MCTC are going to transfer pretty easily anywhere, especially if your student takes generals. And the U of M, I think credits will transfer too, but no, I would not weigh the U of M's credits as more likely to transfer over Normandale and MCTC. A ton of students, and this is becoming more popular too, is that students will choose to do their generals at a community college. So they might do 1 or 2 years at Normandale, get their generals done, save a lot of money, and then transfer to a 4-year school. So Normandale and MCTC and a lot of our community colleges are really catered to students transferring and getting their generals done. So it's kind of their bread and butter, or one of theirs.
I had a question about internship programs.
Oh,
How do they handle course registration if they're interested in that? I don't know when they find out about possibilities there. And then just one comment on that. I know I got something through work looking for internships opportunities through Genesis Works, and it calls out disadvantaged youth for that. So I didn't know, how that was being, I guess, shared with the students on that front.
how Genesis Works was being shared.
Yeah. I know
So,
corporately for us, they were talking about it as for disadvantaged youth of minorities and other things like that. So, and that's how it was being presented internally.
okay. So Miss Mueller, Kara Mueller, is our college and career coordinator. So she is the one that has the most up-to-date information about our internships and apprenticeships. It is something that actually is growing every year, which is really cool. And they kind of changed the way they did it this year. So I'm not as familiar, but typically, from my understanding, you have to take the 1 semester work-based learning seminar. So if your senior wants to participate in that program, and it's not necessarily Genesis Works, there are other programs too. That's just one of them that we work with, but they would take the 1 semester Genesis or 1 semester work seminar. And then they would also take the year-long internship class. So we've had students take the internship class that do Genesis Works. We've also had students take it that have jobs. So they can have really any job, whatever job they have, and they can do that program. We're starting partnerships with a variety of companies. So Miss Mueller, and I would say in terms of Genesis Work and how it was messaged, she would be the one to contact. And I don't think I have her, Miss Bussy, can they see if you type her email in? But I think it's just Mueller, Mueller .Kara, Kara at
I'll put it in the chat.
Okay. But she's been working so hard to get partnerships with different companies and organizations. So it's something that we're really expanding every year. If you look on the website and you go to, if you go to the enrichment opportunities and the work-based learning, that will have kind of the specific information on there. If your student is interested in a program like that, you can email Miss Mueller directly or email me and I'll connect with her and we'll get more specific information out.
So are they'll still follow the same time frame though for registering for courses?
Yeah, and that can be something that can be edited, but I would say if your student's interested in the work-based learning, have them register for the work-based learning seminar, and then have them register for the internship so that we know they're interested. But that is something that we can always edit later, but I would have them register now if they're interested. And that is, that's something a lot of seniors look forward to, because we do have a lot of students that have jobs and want to get credit for that. So that's something that's been cool. I know, Ms. Bussy, do you have anything to add about the work-based learning?
No, I think it's a great opportunity to, if you're in if you're already working and you're learning things from your job, you can utilize that to also document your work history on a transcript, but not necessarily needed, but provides you more guidelines and help and support if that's something that you're looking for. So it really, yeah, so it's a great opportunity for students that need and want it.
Yeah, and the internship class, I don't think meets every day, but I know there's like journaling they need to do. There's different, they might meet and talk to each other about their experiences. So it's more, the actual internship class is more on its own, meaning they're spending their time actually working or doing the apprenticeship. And the class is more just kind of doing the things needed to do to get credit. So I think, unless we have any other questions, and you can directly message Jessica. I think I can see mine messages too now. I figured out Zoom. Sort of.
And here's the thing too, everyone, is that like, as we go through this, we will be here for all of these questions too. And it's not something that you have to have all the answers right now. The other thing is that sometimes it's so specific to your individual situation or your student that we can't answer the question without knowing the specifics. So.
And I think especially with seniors, right?
Yeah.
Because seniors are all over the place in terms of what they want. I'm sure many of you experience that at home, but they're all over the board in terms of what they want to do, what their goals are, what they're interested in. I think a lot of students, even coming back to school full time has been a transition. So the conversations are very individualized. And that's why I kind of like that we're going to have, 3.5 weeks to have them, because it gives us more time to make decisions and more time for you to have the conversations and for us to be there to answer questions. So I think on that note, thank you all for coming. That was fun. I like doing these on Zoom because you don't have to leave your house and it's a good way to present and we can record it. So we appreciate everyone coming and congratulations on having an almost senior. It's a very exciting time. Graduation is probably coming faster than we thought it would. So on that note, I'm going to end the meeting and thank you all for coming. Now, hold on.
Kelsey, end the recording first.
How do I do that? Okay, hold on. Stop or pause?
Stop.